This is Lugnuts.
Well, we want to welcome you to episode 1 of the Lugnuts podcast. I am Sam Thompson, joined here by Zac Giffel.
That's me.
Zac, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little background for our listeners.
I'm a musician and a technology guy. I work with computers now as a daily thing. I play as a trombone player, and I like cars. That's my thing. Do you like cars, Sam?
I like cars as well. I'm a technology teacher by day, outdoor enthusiast, anything with snow or biking or any of that good stuff. Overlanding. I know you hate that term, but
I don't like the term.
But I love just getting in a rig and driving across the desert. I'm also a big car guy. I've owned several cars, which is an episode that we'll spend a lot of time on our various car purchases. But we got together and just decided, hey, we both have this similar interest, and we love to spend a lot of time just talking about cars, and we're sure there are people out there who feel the same way. So
perhaps an inordinate amount of time spent talking about cars.
Yeah, let's not talk too much about that with our employer possibly hearing this. Yeah, we
10-4. Check.
All past contract hours. Yes. Yeah, none of that happens at work. So. What are we trying to get across with this podcast? Like, what's our shtick? What's our thing?
I think everything automotive is sort of my attitude with it. I don't want to say like we're just going to focus on Japanese cars from the 1980s, although that may be a topic. I don't want to say we're just going to focus on even cars. There's also vans and trucks. I mean, to me, the automotive world is fascinating in its depth and breadth. So.
Yes, there was the Nissan Juke, which is another episode we'll get into.
It's an amazing car. It's an amazing,
awful car. We'll have a whole episode dedicated to terrible cars that should never have been made.
We'll agree to disagree. Okay.
We want to remind our listeners, or let our listeners know for the first time, that we don't, these are opinions. These opinions are our own. We're not paid by any particular brands, and while everybody has their brand kind of things that they lean to, we're not beholden to any one particular brand, and the opinions are our own.
Definitely our own opinions, yeah.
So we're going to do our best to avoid politics. We want this to be an episode where you can immerse yourself in car talk and not feel like you're, being swayed one way or another politically. However, we talked about sometimes that will happen just because that plays into the automotive world.
I mean, sometimes laws are passed or things come up and that affect the world of cars, and that's kind of inevitable no matter which way your political leanings go. It's a fact of life.
Exactly. So yeah, that's our introduction to Lugnuts, and we have a lot of great ideas that we're going to share with you in various episodes. As we get more involved and we get more dialed into how we're doing this, we're going to solicit feedback from the listeners to call in, and on particular episodes, we'll give you a heads up. We're going to put together a blog where you can see what an upcoming episode is and, be like, hey, I feel strongly about this or that, or I have a funny story. We'll have you call in, share that story with us, and be a part of our podcast. So we want this to be kind of an organic community experience, as cheesy as that sounds.
I like that.
Anything else you want to share to the listeners before we sign off on this somewhat short opening episode?
Not that I can think of necessarily. I'm excited to get started and excited for all the topic ideas that we have and we've talked about.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about what was your first car, what would be, if you could only own one car for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Economic issues surrounding cars. Electric cars was a big topic, and how that's going to change the industry and how that's going to change kind of the way we maybe even travel and think about cars.
Big time. Yeah.
Lots of topics.
Lots of topics. What would be your car that you would own but know that it would beat you like a rented mule?
Yeah, it would treat you horribly, yet you still want it.
Yeah, and I think we both already know what that car is for each other.
I think so.
We'll save that for a future episode.
Okay.
So these are some of the topics we're going to cover, and we hope that listeners will join in each week and enjoy the car talk.
Weekly is the aim. I hope.
Yeah,
We'll see.
We'll see. Yep.
Thanks for listening. This episode of the Lugnuts podcast has been brought to you by Motor Oil. Motor Oil. It goes in your engine. Also, it's been brought to you by tires, because your car needs tires. Last but not least, this has been brought to you by windshield wiper fluid, because you gotta see in your car. Okay, thanks for tuning in. See you next time.